Good morning, good afternoon,
Good day.
night, good day, and good night. I'm Danielle. I am the creator of Natural Beauty Rose. This is Ani.
Hey.
She is. I want to say you're the lead trainer, but I feel like you're more than that. Can we
Director
change?
of Education.
Can we change your title? But
That's
like
actually my title.
Director of Education. But like I feel like you're more. Like I feel like you need another title.
I do it all.
You're kind of in the mix of a little bit of it all, so it's good. But we'll keep operations of Director of Academy.
Director of Education. I do not do operations. That's Katie's job. And I don't want her job.
Welcome to the Big Money Stylist podcast. We're so excited. We come to you every Tuesday. We try to add more value, talk about what's going on, come up with a story based off really like what's going on in our life, students' lives.
Yeah.
You know, just life. And we love the feedback that you guys are giving us. We've had a lot of students say they listen every week. I have a ton of students who retag us. We always try to reshare it. So yeah, thanks for the love and support. And if you do have any specific things you want us to talk about, as always, reach out to this guy, not me.
Hey, So, Danielle.
Yeah.
Fucked up, fired up, but nothing work
Okay,
related.
okay.
Only personal. You little
You know
cheat.
what's so funny? I deleted that portion. I had our video. I never edit our podcast, and I had to take that out.
Why?
Because there's some stuff that I'm doing that I can't talk about.
So you're going to talk about it here, make them edit out again?
No, I'm not gonna talk about work. I was like sharing some really exciting stuff that we were planning, and I'm.
Oh my
I'm
God, that's so
zipping
funny.
it.
I had no idea.
I'm taking the fifth. Is that a thing?
Plead the fifth, but
Pleading
also
the fifth.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
fired up.
personal only, nothing work related.
Personal. Why do you always start with me?
Oh, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. I gotta
Okay,
think.
so I'll do a fucked up, fired up. What's fucked up? Okay.
Oh.
My fucking dog, man. Ronald is my sweet baby angel
Is
nugget.
he though? Is he a sweet baby
He
angel?
is. He is.
I
And
think he's not. A sweet baby
you best be
angel.
real careful. you better be real careful. I'll freak out over my dogs.
I've seen what he's eating in your house.
Yeah. No, he's my sweet little nugget baby angel. But recently, we have just been having some potty problems. And
He's acting out.
peed on my side of the bed again. Luckily, I'm
Oh.
smart enough that I have
Does he sleep at the foot of your bed?
he is not allowed on the bed.
Oh, okay.
So now I think sometimes he's mad or trying to like just be like, Mom, I love you. You're mine. I'm like, well, I love you anyway. So
Like
if
he
any-
jumped up on your bed and peed on it?
yeah, little fucker. So you know what I actually did? I ordered 3 pads that go on your bed, and they're essentially like shock collars, but a pad. So now if they jump up, it's gonna buzz him right the fuck
like-
off. And if you think that you're gonna message me and tell me that I'm a terrible mom, I bet you I treat my dogs better than you treat your children. So I don't want to hear
I don't
anything.
know why I was like, can I do that to kids? And I was like, too far. Too far.
Don't get on the. So that's my fucked up. But
I
my
got a story now. I got one.
But my fired up is, man, this actually happened today. I was in a meeting with Jeff and Katie, and all of a sudden I look out the window and a fucking bunny ran across all our offices. So then I just started chasing this bunny because I don't want it to get hit by cars.
This
Because
is
they're.
your fired up?
I'm stoked about this little
Okay.
bunny.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, for future. Okay, fine. I'll choose a different one. I'm really excited that I went skateboarding with my
I
dogs
was gonna say,
yesterday.
that was cool.
They drug me. They actually didn't drag me around, and I didn't fall
I
off
was
the
impressed
skateboard.
with your skateboarding skills.
Dude, thanks. Do you know 3? I bought it.
What kind of board is that?
It's called a carver board,
Yeah, okay.
which mimics surfing on land, and
Yeah.
it's 1,000
Those are
times
fun
harder than a
because they
longboard.
do. You kind of they.
But you'll
do.
also eat shit real quick. I bought it about 6 weeks ago. I couldn't even stand on it 6 weeks ago.
Oh really?
Yep. So thank you for acknowledging that.
Well, I don't surf, but I can wakeboard. And when we one year got a shit ton of skateboards for some reason, and I could not keep my balance, and then I got on a carver board, and I'm like, oh, this feels more natural. Now I'd probably fall on my face, so I'm not going to try.
Yeah,
but I
there- you
know,
gotta
but
be real
I like
careful.
those. Those are fun. Those are cool.
All right, you're fucked
but,
up, fired up. That was me.
Well, you were talking about your baby, so I'm going to talk about my baby, Isla. She is going through this phase. She thinks it's so funny, and it is funny, and I have to hold my ground with a 2-year-old and not laugh. So every time she's done with her food, it could be like today was chicken noodle soup. Anytime
no.
she's done
Oh,
with her
no.
food, she goes, all done, and she throws it like chicken noodle soup, and I'm like, wow, like everywhere. And then she laughs so hard, and I'm like, damn it, you're cute. And so today, you know what I did? I was like, I even tried, I'm like, I've been telling her no. It's been going for like 2 weeks. I've been telling her
Oh,
no.
no.
I'm like, and fine, and even this whole week, I'm like, it hurts my feelings. I pretend to cry. I'm like, really trying to get her to
She ain't
register.
a fuck.
So today, I grab her little hand and I smack it. And it was the saddest thing.
No.
She started crying.
I'm
She started
unsympathetic.
bawling. And I was like,
Well, that's how mom feels on
and
the
I was
inside.
like, you hold it together, Danielle. And I was like, oh, it's so cute.
Yeah, no. Do you know they make bowls and stuff that will actually suction cup to your...
Oh, I have those. She's figured out how to get them unsucked from the table and throw them.
Yeah, fucking monster.
I know. She's smart. She's smart. So I guess that's my fucked up.
That's fucked up. So what are you fired up about?
I was fired up excited.
Yes. You're going camping.
It's not. No, I'm going to Utah for a week. I'm excited to see my family, but I joke around. I don't camp. Like,
You're
I don't
going
even remotely
camping.
camp. I don't stay in a cabin anywhere. If there's not cell phone service and like a spa nearby, I don't camp. I don't mean to sound like a total dick. It's just not fun for me. But you know what I love? I love going to Park City and staying at a super nice hotel and doing
It's
all
not
those.
camping, dude.
I know. I'm trying to express that I'm trying to express I am. I do.
I like to be outdoors at the Ritz-Carlton in Park
outdoors
City.
at the Ritz-Carlton. I know. I sound like a dick. I don't care. You know why? I am scarred. My dad took me camping so much when I was little. Like so much. Like that was our trips. Yes. And he made me go fishing. And like I hated it. And every summer we had to go camping. I was like, Dad, I don't want to camp. So
Fishing, I'm sorry.
I went fishing as a kid.
Fishing.
I grew up in Utah. My dad thought it was mandatory that we had to go camping a lot.
No one in the world, and I'm putting a definitive, will ever convince me that fishing's fun. It's fucking boring.
Okay, do you want to know why I'm kind of scarred? This is also part of the story. I have a lot of childhood memories.
Welcome to the podcast about
Yeah.
Danielle's childhood
No,
trauma.
no. I was fishing with my dad, and I went to throw the thing back, the pole, and the string caught my jacket, and it took my jacket over my head, and I fell in the river. It was scarring.
That sounds disgusting.
You know what I mean? Like I went like this with the pole, like,
oh yeah.
and it caught my jacket, and I threw myself in the water.
So you were your own bait.
I was
That's
my
so
own
sweet of
bait,
you.
and my dad wasn't around, and Noah wasn't around. I thought I was like drowning for a second, and then I climbed out, and it was like very traumatic, and I was like, I'm never fishing again. So that's probably why I don't like camping.
I'm so getting you a fishing set for Christmas.
Nope, I don't camp. Thank you.
It'll be that little game that's like this big, has a little
Yeah.
magnet.
Yeah, no. Oh, anyway,
my
that's
God.
fun. Okay.
That's amazing. Can we be little fish for Halloween for convention?
Oh.
Ooh, hey.
No.
So Academy Convention, by the way, we went and toured the hotel.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's nice.
Ooh,
I like it.
Academy Con.
It's gonna be good, right?
Yeah, we
I
have a
know.
lot of really exciting things happening. Like it's Academy. This is hands down going to be my favorite Academy convention we've ever done.
I'm so pumped. Okay, so like before we had the Academy is a year-long program that teaches the business marketing sales for hairdressers as well as the natural beauty rose. So we had Mastermind before we had Academy, and I just miss like seeing everybody. And then the world closed down, and now this is like our first official event. Yeah. I don't know how many people are coming, but our first official larger event for us.
About 300, 350.
Nice. So I love that. I love the energy of a big event.
I'm
miss it.
excited
I'm
for
excited.
the runway hair,
Yeah.
for the cocktail
Ooh.
party, for
Yeah,
all
it's
like the
it's
gear we're gonna
shenanigans.
have.
And you know what? This is going to continue to grow every year. Like in my mind, the Academy Convention is. Have you ever been to the Redken Symposium?
No, but I went to Paul Mitchell. That
They-
one was massive.
They fill up the Mandalay Bay. I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
Who do you have to become? Like,
Redken.
yeah. So anyway, that's my goal. It might take me another 20 years, but yeah,
We'll get there.
we'll get there.
So today's topic is something that I'm actually really excited about. I don't even know where I saw this or where it came from, but I read something somewhere that was really talking about like our gut reaction to things and like how we feel when we think about things. Because I think there's like when we think of a situation, I'll say like, let's say you're in a relationship, right? And or you're working a salon, let's say relationship, and you're like, you're some
We
days you're-
excuse behaviors.
yeah, but sometimes you're kind of like, oh no, we're good together. He's nice. This works. It's okay. But then I always say like, it's that voice. You have like that little inkling where you're like, but
Get
what
out.
if?
The screaming get out?
Yeah, so I really want to talk about like sometimes you have to think about if I wasn't in this situation, if I wasn't in this relationship, if I wasn't working at this business, if I wasn't doing this particular thing, what's your gut reaction to it? Like without thinking, without putting logic of like, well, but I, he, she, just like gut reaction. Because something that I think people don't really think about is like, let's say you're in a relationship and you're like, no, this works. But then you're like, but man, if I was single, if you're like, and you have like a sigh of relief and you feel calm, that is a really strong sign and indicator that you're possibly in a relationship you shouldn't be in.
Okay, but I have to share something as a married girl who's been married since I was 20 and I'm 38, so 18 years. I've been with Garrett for 20 years. I have to say, on that note, we've had ups and downs in our relationships at times. I'm like, oh, what would it be if I wasn't with him or whatever? But I have to say, too, there's times when, like, nobody's in my space and it feels good, including my kids.
But there's a difference between wanting alone time and not even wanting to be with someone. Like thinking, if this person was no longer in my life, how would I feel?
Oh, see, now I'm in a good space with my relationship. I need my alone time. I'm like, I need nobody.
Yeah,
right
but
now.
there's a difference in that and what I'm actually saying, just to be clear. So if all the married people are like, I want alone time is normal. I think that's healthy. I think it's needed.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you're in a relationship, gosh, I wish I could use a real life example, but I'm not trying to like out people that are like in fucked up relationships right now. But hell no, I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying, like, let's say you're in a relationship and you think like, if this person was no longer in my life, if we broke up, he went his way, I went my way, how would I feel? If your initial gut reaction, without putting logic to it, without putting thought into it, without putting excuses into it, if your gut reaction is a sense of relief, if it's peace, if it's happiness, if you're like, yeah, that's a really strong indicator that you probably should not be in this relationship.
But also, too, why do you feel that way? Because I'm going to take it back to my own marriage if we're talking about relationships. There was a time period for about 3 years, I felt like I was walking on eggshells. Like, anytime Garrett would enter the room, I was like, I was like, we're going to start a fight. What's going to happen? Like, my process was like, I didn't want to talk because I felt like anything I would say would spark a fight. Yeah. And I wasn't a very good communicator. And then I got to this place where I literally looked at Garrett one day and I was like, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired of feeling like I'm on eggshells. Like, I'm tired of being with you. I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, when you walk in the door, I'm not excited to see you. I'm tired. And we had to have like a real conversation of like, well, should we stay married? And this was actually the first time I was open to therapy. Before that, I was like, oh, I don't want to dig up other stuff. Like, what if it makes it worse? There's always this fear that it was going to get worse, right? Yeah. And then finally I was like, I'm tired. So either we go to therapy and we figure out what the fuck's going on and we both decide to be it all in and create conditions to where I don't feel tired and you don't feel tired, because it went both ways. You know what I mean? And that's what we did. And we had to work on we had a rocky period of time for probably 3 to 5 years. And there was a solid 2 years after therapy where we really had to work on, like, we had that feeling of like, I got to get out. And I did have that, like, if he was out of my life, I think it would be a sense of relief, because at the time I was making money. Like, before I would cling on to Garrett because he was my husband, I had kids and he made the money, and I was a hairdresser and hairdressers don't make money, and that was my story and whatever, right? But then I started my brand and I started to make money, and I was like, I don't need him to pay the fucking bills. Why am I in this relationship? And for the first time I had to decide to like, okay, if I'm going to be in this relationship, it's because I want to. So whether it's in business or marriage, like, you have to pay attention to those signs. I think that's great. But also, if it's something where you're like, okay, like a marriage where you have 15 years with that person, it's like,
yes,
all right, well, what was my role? And we need to really have a black and white conversation of like, we're going to stay together or we're not, or are we willing to do the work to stay together? You know what I mean?
Well, and then even I can use my previous relationship as a really great example, because I think this is kind of not where it gets sticky. Like, obviously marriage, kids, like, that's definitely a sticky situation. But even being, I won't say single, I was dating someone, but he was from the East Coast, would fly into the West Coast where I live to like come stay, hang out for a few weeks, whatever, not a big deal. And there were like little things that I would see that I'm like, that's kind of fucked up. Like, did you just say that to me? But it was almost always like an excuse of like, oh, I'm really sorry. I was mad. I got upset. All these things where I'm like, okay, yes, I'm aware. I feel very fortunate that I'm in a place in my life where I've done a lot of work on myself. So things blurted out in anger, it absolutely does not happen. Like,
Right.
I'm not saying it's a definitive never, maybe once every 5 years, but I don't like it. I don't approve of it. I don't want it being done to me. So I don't do it to others. Like, it's literally that simple.
Right.
Even though I have the mouth of a sailor, when I'm actually arguing with someone, I don't curse. There is no
Well,
profanity.
you can't unsay things. Like,
Yes.
you have to be careful. I think that's I'm actually glad you brought that up because I think sometimes in relationships with people that we're close to, we get so comfortable that we think that we don't have to have a filter, and you can't unsay things.
No. And so even though I have the mouth of a sailor, that's actually a really, really, really strong stance that I have. My parents have been married for almost 35 years. And yes, they've argued there. You can't go for 30 some years without arguing. But they've never been like, fuck you or you're an asshole. That has never once existed like in my childhood and upbringing. So now like I hold that same standard. And so my ex would kind of like say some like weird shit. But then like when I'd call him on, he'd be like, I'm so sorry. I was mad. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm very fortunate and blessed and like lucky to be in a place where that's not my norm. So
Right.
I've been able to like grow out of that almost where not everyone
What was your
has.
reaction when he would say like, oh, I'm sorry? Would you like kind of excuse the behavior, or were you just? Like,
I was very
"Oh."
clear of like, this doesn't work for me. Like, you need to stop that.
Yeah.
No part of me will ever approve of this behavior. It doesn't work for me. Like, that will end us if you don't cut this shit out.
Yeah.
And so there was kind of like a big blow up one night, which that's a whole nother story. But I literally sat there before I got back home and I was like, if he left, like, how do I actually feel? And I realized that even though I was like, gosh, he's nice, like, he does good things, the larger sense for me was a sense of relief of if he just fucking left. It was
Yeah.
a sense of like, wow, I wish you weren't here and I was alone in my home.
Yeah.
And once that really like sunk in for me and I allowed myself to not like hear it, but then like push it away, but kind of like hear it and accept it and be like, that's actually an okay feeling to have. I'm not wrong in this. I'm not the bad guy. I'm not a bitch.
You had a sense of peace.
Although he would tell you different. He
There's
said,
always two sides of the
he
story.
said, no, there's one story here. He's a goddamn, look, how about this? I called him on his shit. And let's just be clear. I straight up said to him, you are uncomfortable right now and you feel as less of a man because I make more money and the position in the company that I'm in. I said, me making
Ooh,
more
you can't say that to guys.
at this point, we're already done.
Okay.
No, and I here's the deal though. I called him on it and I said, I'm aware that you feel less right now because of this, but I will not make myself
but
smaller to
you're
make
like,
you feel
don't-
better.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you're taking digs at me to make yourself feel better and to
Yeah.
make me feel alone because people who feel alone are easier to control. You know what he said to me? He said, you're not wrong. I said, and I go, and that doesn't fucking work for me.
Yeah.
That absolutely doesn't work because I want to make clear. I feel men almost have like that unfortunate standard of being like the provider, but they only view providing as money. If I
Yeah.
provide for my family, it's through money. I pay for the house,
Yeah.
I pay for nails, I pay for kids'
Right.
schooling. But I disagree with that. I think the woman can make more money, but a man still be a provider with comfort, with
Yeah.
love, with affection, with
Yeah.
my boyfriend meal preps. He literally feeds me. Like
I
that's
would say
you know.
that it's. I agree. Like, there's still that old stigma of like male and female roles.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten better. Like, I look at how both of my dad and Garrett's dad say they both have said like, I'm sorry I wasn't more involved. I was the provider. Like that's what they would say, and it was like not uncommon for fathers to like sit down and have better communication with their daughters,
Yeah.
right? And I would say Garrett and I both produce, and so there's some roles where I'm like, babe, you're taking out the garbage, right? Like
I don't
like
take
that.
out garbage.
I don't take out garbage.
I also don't mow lawn. Thanks,
No,
Steven.
right? I don't do that shit. Garrett doesn't either, though. We hire people to do that. But he's very involved with the kids, and we
Yeah.
take turn doing a lot of like the kid duties and home duties and things like
Yeah.
that. And it's we're both producers, and so I think I would say I have to just chime in on this because there was a period where I was producing more than Garrett, and it bugged the shit out of him, and I was a dick to him. Like but I was so bitter and angry and some other shit that had gone on in our relationship.
Yeah.
And I just was like, oh my God, and you're not producing. Like, fucking pull it together, right? And so I think you have to be careful in that situation. But obviously, in your situation, it's not like you were taking digs at him. He just didn't know how
No.
to act, right?
Yeah.
And I was angry towards Garrett, and he didn't know how to act. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And that's the thing. There was no anger on my end. And I think that, like I said, things like this have to be spoken about because I know that, especially I feel like once you join the NBR tribe and you do the academy, and I was literally asked today, like, how many of the women actually outproduce men by the time they graduate? And I was like,
Most of them.
all of them. Like,
Yeah.
I can only maybe think of one that doesn't, but
Yeah.
like all of them.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel that the men who are the husbands of NBR.
It changes the dynamic.
Yeah, like they've really had to think like almost like rethink their role like as a provider.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like an off topic. So yes, I did say that and I wasn't wrong when I said it, but I also think like maybe like that us ending and like me breaking up with him was like maybe a moment of growth for him to realize like I can't fucking treat people this way. And also like I won't tolerate that. I'd rather be alone because turns out I'm actually good alone.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind being single. I have
And you
no
know what?
problem.
As somebody who can, like, you can take care of yourself. Like,
Yeah.
to me, like, when you can take care of yourself, you're like, I just want a nice guy who loves me and treats me good and dotes on me and cooks meal preps for me.
Steven's
You know what I mean? Like, to me, that would be way more important. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
care about the kindness and love and affection that you treat me with as opposed to what shit you buy me. I can buy my own shit.
Yeah.
Like I can buy whatever I want. You want to know what I just bought yesterday? I bought
car?
No, that's coming in 2.5, 3 weeks.
I lied in my last statement. I have to take it back. But you tell me what you bought.
Oh
really
yeah,
quick.
I bought so I really because I ordered my hardtop surfboard and I want to put a GoPro on it, so I ordered the GoPro. Turns out, do you know what they make for GoPros?
What?
A harness for your dog. So I'm gonna stick a fucking camera on my dog to go run around the dog park. I want to see what they
I
see.
don't think Frenchies can swim.
They can't. They're dense. They cannot. Ronald has a life jacket.
I know. But it's scary to put him on a board with you. Take him around the
No,
harbor
no, no,
first.
no. It's a harness for him to wear the GoPro so I can see what I can record life through Ronald's eyes.
Oh, I thought you were going to put it on. I'm imagining you putting on your surfport because I've seen that. And I was like,
no.
that's-
No,
I was like, Frenchies? Oh, okay, that's cool. I was like, dude, Frenchies can't swim. That's like me putting my weenie dog on a board. They just
Hell
straight
no.
down,
My
straight
sweet
down.
little nugget has a life jacket. No.
Oh.
So, but you said you lied about
I
something.
did lie. I did lie. I actually want to be treated good, and I want my husband to outproduce me. I had to have a moment of truth.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Steven and I, we actually make the same income.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty fair and kind of like even Steven or whatever. But I'm a queen at home. Like I am Princess Ani and I'm treated that way and I love that. If someone has a lot of money but you treat me like shit,
Yeah.
then going
no.
back to the original thing, that feeling will come up for me one day where
Yeah.
I'm like, how would I feel
Yeah.
if you left and I didn't have to deal with your stupid shit anymore?
Yeah.
And I think this also goes for like, let's talk about like salons. If
Right.
you're an artist working in a salon, I think that's such an emotional thing. It's a different form of a relationship where sometimes you're like, should I stay? Should I go? And you're like, I can't go. I'm friends with the owner. Everybody's
Yeah.
nice.
The
like,
lines get blurred.
yeah, my
Yeah.
clients love me if I left, but you don't, it's like you don't even grant yourself the space to think, but if I left, how would I feel?
I think we get sucked into these relationships that we don't leave because we think it's going to be harder on the other side. But like when you're in so much pain, like I said, explained in my marriage, I was at a place where I was like, I'm tired of feeling this way. So either like we divorce or we figure out what's working. And that could go the same in your salon. If you walk into your own salon, I've had situations where I walk into my own salon and I'm like, oh, I'm uncomfortable in my own space. Somebody's got to go and something's got to change.
Yeah.
And as hard as that was to let go half of my team, I was like, I can't go into my salon and have this feeling like it's been taken over. Like I can't do it. So I think even though it seems hard, you'll continue to circle that same thing and just be like, it's okay, tuck it under the rug kind of thing. Because you won't have those hard conversations. And they don't go away. And people, and artists especially, or entrepreneurs, we hide in work, right? And I've shared this on so many podcasts. We hide in work. And we're just like, are like, well, I'm working so hard. And you're like, you fucking liar. You don't want to, you're trying to ignore what's really going on. You're like, in your business, in your work, you're drowning yourself in work so you don't have to look at the reality. And then you can play the role of a victim and be like, I'm so shocked that my salon had a walkout. And it's like, come on, are you shocked? Are you really shocked?
And the same goes for your personal life. If I see one more fucking person drowning themselves in work and going in early and staying late and taking on more and more and more to avoid their personal lives, I swear to God, I will strap you to your own fucking couch and force you to deal with your shit. And this, I'm literally like watching this happen to a friend right now where I'm like, you're miserable in your marriage.
Yeah.
With all due respect, your husband's a fucking dick. You've admitted all the shit that like she's not in like not in the worst of marriages, not in the best of marriages. Yeah. And I looked at her. We were on the phone. I'm like, you're focusing on your work because you don't want to focus on your home life.
And so many people think like, oh well, maybe I'm not with the right person. And it's like, you know what? maybe you're not with the right person, but maybe you're not willing to do the work to be with that person, right?
Yes. And that's the thing. Like, but if you don't address it, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
That's why people are like, if I don't, it's like people who get like a weird mole or a rash and they're like, just don't look at it. If you don't look at it, it's not there. It is there. And the mole might actually be cancerous. Like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah.
So you can deal with the mole when it's just like an abnormal growth and a weird
Right.
mole, or you can wait until it turns to cancer and now it's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Why are you waiting for things that I'm clearly very passionate about this right now because it drives me fucking nuts.
One of the things that I see a lot of times with new business owners, especially salons, like it's not uncommon for salon owners, the only money that they make is from the work that they do behind the chair.
Oh, yeah.
If they didn't do hair, their salon would go under. And I'm like, why would you want to deal with all that stress, manage all that emotions, that's so stressful when you could just go rent a chair down the road. And so I think a lot of even salon, that's so common in our industry. I hear it more than I hear anything else. And I'm like, oh, like I wouldn't own a salon. But I think what happens is we think if we scale more, I'm going to scale more. I'm going to put in more chairs. I'm going to hire more stylists. I'm going to do this. And that's not really the solution. I feel like if you can't get your current situation to work, what makes you think that adding more is going to make your situation work? So you see companies expand, and then you're like, whoa, and then they shrink. And you're like, you didn't see the tsunami coming? Yes, you did. You just didn't want to look at the problem in front of you, so you just kept expanding till you're like, fuck, I'm underwater.
Dude, if you're in chaos and you think adding anything else to chaos will make it easier and not more chaotic, you're fucking nuts. You are nuts. Adding more to a chaotic bowl of just shit only gives you a bigger chaotic bowl of shit. Like, it doesn't make anything better.
Garrett went through that with Warrior. Like, they were growing at such a rapid rate. And from an outside perspective, it was like, holy shit. And then I was like, we gotta reel it in because we look really cool, but like this shit can't continue to expand in the way it is, or in 2 years, like this shit's gonna be gone. And that's it's hard to have those conversations and be like, fuck, I gotta like let go of half of my team here. I've got to cancel all of these events here, you know?
And that's why I think even people who, to kind of address what you said of like, you'll lose everything. I see that a lot. And that's why like, I think I get so frustrated and so like passionate about, you can't ignore your home life.
Yeah.
You don't have that luxury, because if you think that will not bleed into your business, it will. So the question you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to lose everything? That place that you call your sanctuary and your happy place, your salon, your business, your warehouse, whatever it is, are you willing to risk losing that because you will not face the reality of what you're facing everywhere else? What's your gut reaction?
Well, and I'll share you.
Please don't.
I'll share a quick story with you. Back in, when did the market crash? 2008, 2009?
28, yeah.
Garrett had a mortgage business, and I was doing hair, but I wasn't paying the bills, right? And we put everything on an Amex, and we'd pay it off every month so we could get points. And then I remember I would pay the bills. He'd make the money, I'd pay the bills. And I was like, babe, like, I need more money. He's like, oh, we don't have it. And the Amex kept building and building and building till it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was like, and I could see, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, we should have really reeled in our spending when the first time we saw this wasn't working. We should have downsized our companies when we first saw this shit happening. Had we have done that, we might have survived. Like, we literally lost everything. And I was like, I was like, wow. So part of me is like, I will never, ever fucking go back there. So even amidst like 2020, like we were headed down a similar path in the sense that things were growing so rapidly. And I was like, woo, I'm seeing some flags. We got to slow this ship down. And then 2020 hit, and we always would tell people, we're like, we had some of the most profitable years we've ever had because we recognized those signs and we course corrected along the way, because like, I'm not fucking going back to that spot. Like, if you don't learn your lesson, life will continue to repeat it, and an even bigger lesson and an even harder fall. So I was like, no. Like, so I would encourage like anybody who's listening to this, like, pay attention to those little spidey senses. Like, pay attention to like, okay, if like Ani said, like if that person was in your life, like are you at a sense of relief? Then you're at a crossroads where possibly whether it's in your personal or business life that you need to have some tough conversations because it's not going to go away.
Yeah, and that's the bit because we're coming to the end. I can't believe it's already been 30 minutes, but I want you to just really take a look at those things in your life because a lot of people, I have full faith that you're smart enough to know the thing you're ignoring. Like truly, I really do. So maybe just pay it some attention and don't think about it logically. Gut reaction, gut instinct off the top of your head. What is the feeling that you get? And if not being in that business or having that employee or not being in that relationship gives you a sense of a relief, then it's time to really analyze that instead of trying to logically talk your way out of an emotional feeling. That's never going to work.
Or like I said in the beginning, like I think a lot of times we want to make excuses for people's behaviors. And I keep using Garrett in this
because you're married.
I'm married. We've had an interesting dynamic, but now we're good. There was times I had to have conversations with Garrett where I'm like, this triggers the shit out of me, and this is not okay with me, and this is not gonna work. You know what I mean? So I think you kind of have to retrain yourself in things that like trigger you in certain relationships.
I mean, I've had a very clear conversation with anyone I've dated. If you scream at me, curse at me, or so help me God, if you ever think that calling me any names, like don't even call me a bitch. Like I'm not gonna fucking freak out, but that's like I'll end it right then and there.
I think it just puts a ding. Like it puts a ding where you like lose a little bit of trust in somebody. You're
to me, I'm not going to be with someone who doesn't fucking
Yeah.
respect me. And if you're going to look me in my face, I'm supposed to be the person you love and care about most. You're going to call me a bitch. I'm out. I'm out. That doesn't work for me.
I do have to say, as a married lady in a relationship for 20 years, it'll happen.
No.
But you gotta learn how to just be like, you know what, that hurt and that sucks.
No, I demand and I expect you, whoever, sorry, Steven, you're sorry. He listens to the podcast. You're sorry, babe. But no, you know what? I won't make excuses for that. And I won't.
What if you're married with 3 kids and 6 dogs?
Then at that point, I know he's not going to call me a fucking bitch because
what if it slips?
No, it won't. To me, it's here because here's my deal. I don't do it when I'm angry. I'm not a name caller. So you're fucking right.
Would you end your relationship if it did happen? Like you're in a heated fight and he's like, fuck you, Ani, you're a bitch. If you had, I'm just playing this out. Like if you had it would hurt, but what would you do?
I don't know.
I know. See, right?
No, this is like this is not don't push me to that limit because I would do it. Because to me, that shows, and I, once again, will use my parents as an example, 35 years, and that has never happened. Never. And so if I am adult enough to know to bite my fucking tongue and shut up.
That's your red flag.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm 31 years old and I don't do that. Does it mean I don't get mad? No. Does it mean I haven't raised my voice occasionally? Absolutely not. I'm louder than most people, so you can imagine what happens when I'm angry. But I would never look at Steven and go, fuck you, you're such an asshole. Because that's rude and it's disrespectful. And if I don't want to be disrespected in my relationship, I'm not going to show that disrespect.
Is you've probably already had those conversations with him. So
I'm telling you within the first few weeks.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, just so you know, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
But you know what's so funny? He's probably more calm than I am when we're in an argument.
He's so chill.
I know.
Which is weird because he's a Gemini. I keep waiting for this wild guy to come out.
He's like I'm like the fire and he's like the calm water. I'm the crazy.
He doesn't have a spicy side?
Not to me.
Yeah, I've never seen it. He seems like so chill.
I've heard him get spicy with like work
good
people.
For you.
I think he's great for me. I told you I'm fed, ma'am. I'm always fed. I'm kidding. I love you for so many more
Garrett,
reasons.
if you could meal prep for me, that would be amazing. I had spicy Cheetos for lunch.
You told me you didn't know how to cook chicken like on 3 podcasts ago.
I know how to cook chicken.
Him.
Oh, yeah, no, he doesn't. He barely can make eggs.
But anyway, that's my point of this is it's mutual respect, and I don't care who that's with. I would never look at you and go, Danielle, you're such a fucking bitch.
I definitely had some turmoil where there was things said in our relationship where I told Garrett, I was like, we really gotta work on this whole respect thing.
Yeah.
And now we're, like I said, we're at a healthy place where we respect one another, but we really had to work on a lot of our shit. We got married young, which I'm like, what were we thinking? But
well, and I'll say also to your defense, Garrett is the gasoline on the fire, and he's the gas and the fire. So when he blows up, sometimes I'm like, can you calm down, sir?
He doesn't blow up. He doesn't
Not
blow
anymore.
up as much. Like we've had a few blow up fights, but he doesn't blow up on me. Like I can tell when he's angry, and I'm like, I'm gonna give you your space, but He doesn't. He's very fiery, but at home he's actually like he's super chill.
I'll never forget the time I saw you tickle him, and I'm like, you guys have tickle fights?
I know, like people
guys have
don't see
tickle
this like this softer side of Garrett.
Yeah,
And,
that is probably one
he
of the
can get
sweetest
fiery.
moments.
Yeah,
Yes,
we've had some fights
Yeah.
that are explosive, but you know what?
I've had explosive fights with Garrett, so I can only imagine
Yeah.
what you've experienced in 20 years.
I feel like this was a great podcast on our relationships. Well, if you guys got any value out of it, like just really look at the relationships in your life and kind of decide like,
Personal, professional, all of them.
just decide like, okay, am I running on a hamster wheel? Is my head in the sand? Like, what do I need to do to really like take this weight off my shoulders? Like, how is that going to feel? Like, you'd be surprised. You might even have like a running list of people where you're like, I have 5 people I need to call and just like get this weight off. Yeah, literally.
And sometimes it'll be things like literally cutting the strings. Sometimes it's things like therapy. You
Yeah.
don't, but you're never going to know if you don't address it. So you have to address it. So
Right.
guys, thanks for being here with us on the Big Money Stylist podcast. We are sold out of events for the entire rest of the year. It's so crazy.
Yes.
So we only have, not only, but we have the Academy still. It's actually open enrollment for the year. And that is mostly virtual education, but it does include 3 live events.
And that's what our big convention is coming up. So a lot of our education has been geared towards our academy. So when we have public events, they sell out so fast. But really, we just want people in the academy because it's just impossible to take one class and then offer a $3,000 to $5,000 service to your clients. Like, there's so much more that goes in it, down to like the selling, the mindset, obviously the skills. So we are very passionate about the academy because honestly, the results that our artists have been doing, the results that artists
That
have been
they've been
having
getting, yeah.
has been. It's been
Insane.
amazing. So anyways, if you guys have more questions or you want more information on that, go to
nbr.education.
I swear I say it backwards half the time. All right, we'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Bye.